Overnight, the global picture has been dominated by a sharp escalation in the Middle East after joint U.S. and Israeli strikes targeted Iran's senior leadership, killing Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Explosions were reported in Tehran, and Iran has vowed retaliation. Iran has already launched missile and drone strikes across the region, with deaths reported in Israel and further impacts in Gulf states, including footage of a drone strike on a UAE naval base. Iran says at least 153 people were killed in a reported strike on a school, while the U.S. says it is looking into the reports and Israel says it is not aware of operations in that area. Iran's leadership is now being handled by a temporary three-member council, while succession is determined. The economic shockwave is immediate. The Financial Times reports oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz have effectively dried up, a major risk point for global energy prices and inflation expectations. There are also growing signs of disruption to global aviation. Major Gulf airports have been damaged and flights suspended, with Australia's airports peak body warning of significant disruptions in coming days. Politically, analysis points to a longer conflict rather than a short, decisive campaign. The conversation argues Iran's system is built for survival and that a prolonged war is now likely, while also warning the strikes have further weakened international legal norms. In the U.S., domestic security concerns also remain in focus after a deadly Texas bar shooting the FBI is treating as potentially terrorism-related. On the technology and artificial intelligence front, one notable global development is a legal challenge in India to WhatsApp's privacy policy, centered on data sharing with Meta for advertising. While not an AI story directly, it underscores the broader technological revolution now colliding with regulation, data governance and public trust issues that also shape AI deployment and digital services worldwide. Turning to Australia, the federal government has backed the U.S. strike on Iran, while confirming Australia was not given prior warning. The Greens have condemned the action as abhorrent. Foreign Minister Penny Wong has warned Australians in the Middle East to prepare for difficult days ahead, as flight cancellations and potential airspace closures complicate departures and consular planning. Expect increased pressure on the Australian Public Service, particularly DFAT and crisis response teams, as they manage travel advisories, citizen assistance and fast-moving security updates. In the Australian economy, attention is on interest rates and housing credit settings. The Sydney Morning Herald reports the banking regulator is under pressure to clamp down on investor lending, amid claims investor activity is adding to interest rate pressure. This is a key policy watchpoint. Any tightening would affect credit growth, housing demand and bank lending standards, with flow-on implications for consumer sentiment and the broader economy. On markets, the main near-term driver for the Australian share market is likely to be energy and risk pricing tied to the Middle East, alongside any sustained disruption to aviation and supply chains. Oil and transport-sensitive sectors will be closely watched. Finally, locally, Perth hosted the Matildas' 1-0 win over the Philippines to open their Women's Asian Cup 2026 campaign, while in Sydney, Mardi Gras drew large crowds with a mix of celebration and protest themes. In sport, Alyssa Healy signed off her ODI career with a century in Hobart as Australia thrashed India, and AFL Premiership defender Stephen May has announced his retirement days out from the season start.